And we now start the turn 2. Once again, no player is willing to add gold to his initiative card, and once again, Rome draws the highest card with an 11. This time, Rome chooses to start first and to play anti-clockwork, giving the second position to the Gallic player and the last one to the Macedonian. And we are back to a new agent phase, with all players drawing 6 cards this time. Rome starts that new agent phase by drawing a Sow Distrust card with Block Agent, an Assassination with Plague, a Rebel Uprising card with Willing Volunteers, a Treaty with Willing Volunteers, a Trade with Disease, and a Bribe with Catch Enemy. Okay, the Plague card is perfect, but should he use it against the Gallic tribes? With 2 armies next to each other, Macedonia may be a good target as well. Indeed, a plague against one of those armies may prevent them from taking back Thrace during that turn, and Philip would stay blocked in the north with no supply line. For the other cards, he is hesitating between playing both the treaty and trade with Carthage, or using the disease side of the trade card against Gallic tribes. Well, at this point, he is better off cashing in. Let's trade, screw Macedonia, and prepare to expand in more independent regions. His agent in Carthago plays the treaty card. Carthage accepts the Roman friendship, and both factions update their diplomatic stance to friendly. Rome then deploys his second agent in Rome and sails to Carthago Nova, where he plays a trade card. Rome earns 6 gold, and Carthage 5 gold with that trade. Then, the plague card has to be played during the agent phase. Let's look at the Balkans. Rome can easily assume Army 1 is the main one, and that Army 4 gave some troops to Army 3 so that it can invade Anatolia. Let's target the Macedonian Army 1 with the plague. 4 of the 9 cards of that army randomly die of the plague, and that may include Alexander. Army 1 randomly loses a Peltastoi, a Hoplite, a Rhodian Slinger, and a Companion. The Macedonian player can be relieved. His 4-star Alexander survived the Balkan plague. Now, it's time for Army 4 to lose 1 card, as it stands next to Alexander. Parmenion loses a Peltastoi, and being reduced to less than 2 main battle cards, it collapses. Parmenion is not dead, but he will have to rebuild his army later in the game. What a blow to Macedonia! Rome ends his agent turn by selling the bribe card for 1 gold, and decides to keep the Willing Volunteers 1, that will be useful in the next recruitment phase, and the Block Agent 1, which may block some trade for other factions. Now, to the Gallic tribes. They draw a spy card with Prepare Ambush, a spy with Force March, a treaty with Prepared Battlefield, a trade with Disruptive Storm, and 2 identical protest cards with Catch Enemy. The Gallic player may have mixed feelings about Macedonia because of the last game. It is still a faction he should not fight soon, and they just suffered a major setback. His first agent uses 4 movement points to sail from Arminius to Athens, where he uses the treaty card. The Macedonian accepts the Gallic friendship, and both factions update their diplomatic stance to friendly. His second agent sails from Roma to Apollonia, where he uses the trade card. Both factions earn 5 gold with that trade. But wait! Carthage plays a pirate raid card, and that steals half of the gold, rounded up, from each faction. Gallic tribes and Macedonia are left with 2 gold each, while Carthage cashes in 6 gold with that raid. The Gallic tribes will then keep their Prepared Ambush card, and sell the 3 other cards for 3 gold. In addition to the pirate raid that they just used, and to the treaty card that they kept from last turn, Carthage draws a bribe card with Inspire General, a spy with Willing Volunteers, a trade with Difficult Travel, and a riots with Regional Revolt. In the first turn, Carthage sends his agent north with the intention to court the Gallic tribes as an ally. He is now having second thoughts. Should he still do it? He can see the old axe between Macedonia and the Gallic tribes growing again, and Rome may be a faction more aligned with his interests. Okay, let's keep the same plan for now, and see how the game develops then. At least he will be the only faction friendly with everyone, which, combined with his tech trade advantage, should make an attractive trade partner. His first agent in Cenabum plays his treaty card. The Gallic tribes accept the friendship of Carthage, and both factions update their diplomatic stance to friendly. His second agent then moves from Lemonum to Lugdunum, where he plays a trade card. The Gallic tribes earn 6 gold, and Carthage 5 gold with that trade. Carthage then keeps all of his other cards: the regional revolt, the inspired general, and the willing volunteers. And it is now time for Macedonia to end that second agent phase. Macedonia draws a trade with inspired agent, a bribe with serious unrest, a protest with inspired general, a treaty with untimely death, a bribe with serious unrest, and a rebel uprising with deadly tempest. When Pompeius sailed in the Ionian Sea, King Philip wondered whether he should intercept his fleet and engage in a naval battle to sink his army. It would have been a bit of an aggressive move for a first turn, but the Romans would have deserved it now that they sent this plague to Alexander. Whatever, the Macedonians should have their revenge with the deadly tempest. Let's wait. First, his agent in Carthago uses a trade card. With that trade, Macedonia earns 6 gold, and Carthage 5 gold. Then, the other agent moves from Lugdunum to Cenabum to play the treaty card. The Macedonians are once again offering an alliance to the Gallic tribe. Vercingetorix is pondering what should be his answer. He was not satisfied with the alliance they had in the last game, but Macedonia won that last game, and they seem to be much more targeted now. The alliance makes sense. Gallic tribes and Macedonia are too far away to be natural enemies. Their only clash zone could be north of the Danube, but we are not there yet. The Gallic tribes gladly accept the alliance. Both factions update their diplomatic stance to allied. This decision is also a warning to Carthage and Rome. In the last game, they were reluctant to ally, always having second thoughts about betraying each other at one point. Will they organize better in this game? To finish his turn, Macedonia decides to use both of his serious unrest cards. He can now spread 5 protests among other factions' home regions. The choice is easy. Carthage has been accumulating a lot of gold during that agent phase, and he may be the competitor number 1 of Macedonia in the east, the Romans and the Gallic tribes being most likely too busy dealing with each other. Macedonia decides to spread unrest in Cordoba, Gades, Cirta, Thapsus, and Lepsus, removing 5 gold from the Carthaginian tax income. Macedonia then ends his turn by selling the protest card for 1 gold. And we now move to a new taxation phase. Rome collects 16 gold from tax income, that adds to the 7 gold in their treasury for a total of 23 gold. They are the poorest faction. The Gallic tribes collect 22 gold from tax income, that adds to the 11 gold in their treasury for a total of 33 gold. They also score 1 victory point with a higher than 20 tax income. Carthage collects 14 gold from tax income, that adds to the 22 gold in their treasury for a total of 36 gold. They are the richest nation after a full agent turn of pirate raids and trades. Finally, Macedonia collects 17 gold from tax income, that adds to the 10 gold in their treasury for a total of 27 gold. And we are back to a new campaign phase, starting with Rome. Okay, Caesar is hungry for veterans and victory points. He has waited enough, let's fight. The renewal of the alliance between Macedonia and the Gallic tribes is anyway a clear signal. Rome will be their common enemy. Let's start this now. Julius Caesar uses 2 movement points to enter the Alps in Iavavum, willing to engage with the Gallic army for. Rome and the Gallic tribes both update their diplomatic stance to war. Vercassivilanos hesitates. Should he accept the fight or fly away? Let's try to escape. The plan was to avoid as much as possible engagement, and to invest in tech to develop more cavalry units and achieve unification. So, let's try to stick to the plan and avoid that battle. Each general rolls their dice. Vercassivilanos gets lucky with a X, beating the blank of Caesar, despite the lower color dice. Vercassivilanos decides to retreat in Euburzus, out of the Alps and out of reach of Caesar for that turn. In Iavavum, Caesar must roll for the region and gets a blank and a skull, losing 1 Italian infantry. Caesar may be confident about his strength. He still should be careful as the Gallic may strike back during their turn. With 1 movement point left and 5 main battle cards, Caesar still decides to march west to Octodorus where he rolls 2 blanks, submitting the Gallic regions under Roman authority with no loss. With his 6 main battle card army, Marcus Licinius Crassus is then deployed in Arminium and marches north to attack Patavium, where he rolls a blank and a wound. He then uses his 2nd movement point to enter Segestica, where he rolls a blank and a wound, submitting the region with no loss. With his main battle cards all alive, Crassus decides to press the Macedonian kingdom and marches south to Delaminium, where he rolls 2 blanks. So far, that is a very aggressive campaign turn from Rome, pressuring both the Gallic tribes and obviously Macedonia, even if the war is not official yet. The message sent by the new alliance has been received 5/5 by the Roman Senate. Rome definitely has good soldiers, but to sustain such a war they will need the active support of Carthage. Finally, Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus completes Sicily conquest by attacking Lilybaeum, where he rolls a blank and skull, losing 1 Italian infantry. Fleet 2 is now deployed in Tarentum and merges with Fleet 1 in a 5-ship fleet. The fleet is then moved to embark Pompeius. But wait! Macedonia plays his deadly Tempest card. Half of the ships and half of the troops, rounded down, will be randomly lost during a tempest, with Pompeius being at risk, as was Alexander during the plague. So, that is 2 ships that are sunk and 3 cards that are at risk. The army loses a Republican legionary, a Volite, and Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, who does not survive the storm. Ouch, losing a 4-star general such as Pompeius is a huge blow for Rome. Pompeius is now dead and won't appear again in the game. Rome is pissed, but with 4 main battle cards, the army is still able to land in the Balearic Islands as intended, where it rolls a skull and a wound, losing 1 Italian infantry. The last army of Titus Labienus is too weak to be deployed, and Rome ends his turn here. And now to the Gallic tribes. First, Critognatos uses his 3 movement points to travel back to Trevorum. Then, the Gallic tribes player is puzzled. He knows a good cavalry is crucial to fight back the Romans, and in addition to his tech tree, he may find those good cavalry units in mercenary regions such as Scythia or Samartia. Vercingetorix is the best position to keep walking east, however, should he use his only 4-star general for that task. Okay, let's go. However, he already feels he organized himself poorly by sending Vercingetorix there. Whatever, Vercingetorix uses 1 movement point to attack Vicus Veneti, where he rolls an S and a blank, losing no troops as he does not have skirmishers. He then moves to Gallic, where he rolls an S and a skull, losing a lowland warrior here. With still 4 main battle cards and not at risk of being attacked next turn, Vercingetorix uses his last movement point to reach Gothi, where he rolls a blank and a wound. Good. On the west side, the Gallic tribes will adopt a defensive stance, letting the Romans roll their dice against Gallic regions if they wish so, and with Gallic tribes' armies ready to counterattack straight. Dumnorix uses 1 movement point to reach Tolosa, where he rolls an S and a blank, losing a javelin man. He then uses his last 2 movement points to retreat to Leminum, inside the Gallic homeland. Similarly, Vercassivillanos uses 1 movement point to reach Tullyfurlum, ready to strike back if the Romans dare to roll against Gallic homeland red dice. And that ends the Gallic tribes' turn. And now to Carthage. First, he will use the regional revolt card he kept from the agent phase. And this time, he will use it against the Gallic tribes at Vicus Veneti. The region revolts and is once again an independent region, cutting the supply line to Vercingetorix. Vercingetorix from the Gallic tribes and Philip of Macedon are now both isolated in the northeast of the map, with no supply line to their home region, and thus unable to recruit during the spending phase. Good. Hannibal is now ready to attack the Hispanic tribes at Scalabais. He rolls a blank and 2 wounds, losing 1 Libyan spearman. Hannibal then uses his last 2 movement points to reach Asterca, where he rolls a blank and a skull, losing another Libyan spearman. In the south, Hasdrubal marches deeper into the desert to Nept, where he rolls a blank and a wound, and then uses his last 2 movement points to reach Lepsis. Mago then uses his 3 movement points to cross the straits and reach Carthago Nova. That ends Carthage's turn, and it is now up to Macedonia to end that second campaign phase. Well, Macedonia, who got decimated by the Balkan plague. Parmenian's army is gone, and with only 3 main battle cards, Alexander is now too weak to stand against Crassus or to take back Thrace. He prefers to safely retreat to Larissa, where he will be able to regroup and recruit during the next spending phase. Tired of seeing Philip alone in the north and unable to recruit, the Macedonian sends their fleet to Pontus Euxinus, so that Philip can be embarked and disembarked in Byzantium. The fleet is then sent back, patrolling in the Aegean Sea. Well, at least Antipatros can move deeper into Anatolia and submit more independent regions. Antipatros uses 1 movement point to enter Pessinus, where he rolls a skull and a wound, losing 1 hoplite. He then uses a 2nd movement point to reach Nicomedia, where he rolls 2 wounds, losing another hoplite. With still 4 main battle cards, Antipatros ends his turn by marching north up to Sinope, where he rolls 2 wounds, losing his last hoplite. The campaign phase is over, and we now move to a new spending phase, starting with Rome. Rome is pondering building his wonder now. The tech will cost 5 and the wonder 6, which will leave him with 12 more gold for recruiting, building markets, and developing other tech. Well, that looks too heavy. He should rather do that in 2 stages, the tech first, then the wonder, so that he can put more focus on buildings and recruitment during this turn. On the tech side, he will then spend 8 gold on Colosseum and advanced subterfuge. On recruitment, Crassus will enroll 2 Velites for 2 gold, and Caesar 1 Italian infantry for 2 gold. The willing volunteer card is used to enroll 1 Republican legionary for 3 gold and get 2 more free. 2 of them join Army 2 on the Balearic Islands, and the other one joins the undeployed army of Titus Labienus. Finally, 2 gold are spent to recruit a new general for Army 2, Marcus Antonius, a loyal man of Caesar. A total of 9 gold has then been spent on recruiting. Finally, on the building side, Rome will spend his last 6 gold on 2 markets, one in Genu and the other one in Iater, and 1 barracks in the Balearic Islands. Thanks to his road builder tech, Rome also builds 1 free road between Genu and Patavium. Rome then ends his turn with no gold left in his treasury. The Gallic tribes still want to rush their unification and add depth to their roster. On the tech side, they spend 8 gold to develop heavy cavalry, advanced subterfuge, and peaceful agriculture, immediately connecting all their markets. On the building side, the Gallic immediately spend 8 gold to build walls for their wonder in Diarorum, the Dolmens of Carnag. The Gallic tribes then become the first faction to build their wonder. At the end of each taxation phase, they will collect 2 gold from each other faction that has not built its wonder yet, which should be quite a nice bonus for the next turns to come. Still on the building side, the Gallic tribes will spend 6 more gold to build 2 markets, one in Eboracum and the other one in Vicus Gothi, and a barrack in Lugdunum, in order to give it an additional red die if the Romans attack it. The Gallic tribes are then left with 11 gold for recruitment. Vercingetorix is now isolated in the east and unable to recruit. Either he or Vercassivillanos has to take back Vicus Veneti to re-establish the supply line. In any case, with 4 main battle cards, Vercingetorix could deal with Vicus Veneti, but he will then lose at least 2 turns before expanding to mercenary regions. On the recruitment side, the Gallic tribes spend a total of 10 gold. Vercassivillanos recruits a soldiery for 4 gold, Critognatos 2 lowland warriors and a pony rider for 5 gold, and Dumnorix a pony rider for 1 gold. The Gallic tribes then end their turn with 1 gold in their treasury. Carthage is pissed to see the Gallic tribes achieving their wonder. He knows that Macedonia and Rome have a special tech allowing them to easily build their wonder and, let's be honest, Carthage is still traumatized by the last game. All the markets were built, and a saboteur sent by Macedonia destroyed a market in the city where Carthage was planning to build his wonder. Having initiative, Macedonia immediately rebuilt the market in one of his cities, and Carthage was barred from having a wonder for the whole game, losing 6 gold at the end of each taxation phase. This time, he really wants to achieve his wonder. And during this new game, Macedonia, again, spread so many protests in his territory. Well, that is a waste, but first he must spend 5 gold to restore order everywhere. Okay, the good news is that he is still rich. Actually, he is rich enough to achieve his wonder as well. On the building side, Carthage spends 11 gold to build walls and a barrack in Carthago, a road between Carthago and Cirta, and 6 gold to achieve his wonder. The Carthaginian people become the second faction to achieve their wonder, with the Temple of Baal-Hamon in Carthago. Still on the building side, 2 markets are built for 4 gold, one in Scalabais and the other one in Nept. After all those spending, Carthage is left with 16 gold for tech and recruiting. Well, being limited in the number of buildings built at each turn, Carthage cannot add barracks either in Dimity or in Scalabais. Which means that once again Carthage won't be able to use his tech advantage for mercenary recruitment and will as well have to keep the cards they saved from the agent turn. Back on the campaign map, the question is, what does he want to do? Join Rome in his war against the Gallic Macedonian alliance? Or backstab a Roman Republic that will be left alone in the middle of the map, fighting on every front? Well, he feels the Gallic tribes had a good start in the game, much better than last time. On the contrary, Macedonia has been struggling with the regional revolt, a useless army too, and the plague. He also feels that, at least for now, he is better with a strong Rome putting pressure on those two. For Carthage, expanding in the east is a no-brainer. The question is, should he slowly walk his way, or should he use a fleet to debark immediately in Alexandria, Antioch, or even Sparta? Well, the 2 last options would likely imply a naval battle that is too dangerous if his navy is carrying an army. Before having such plans, he should first start weakening the Macedonian navy. On the other side, the Gallic tribes have no navy, and with a Carthaginian fleet, he could attack both from Iberia and disembark another army in Londinium or in Diarorum, laying a siege and then blocking the revenue from the wonder. Okay, being limited in spending, he won't reinforce Hannibal's army this turn, and will likely not attack the Gallic in turn 3. Hopefully, Hannibal will be reinforced with some Iberic mercenaries next turn. He then spends 11 gold, all on Mago's army, which is reinforced by 2 Libyan spearmen, 1 citizen spearman, and 1 pony cavalry. Finally, with the 5 gold left, he develops advanced subterfuge and war elephants. Carthage then ends his turn with no gold in his treasury. And now to Macedonia to end the second turn. What a turn! Parmenian's army has disbanded, Alexander's one has been halved by a plague, and King Philip is finally back in his home region and able to recruit. If the war is not official, Rome is obviously ready to attack. Also, everyone is building his wonder and putting pressure on Macedonia to do so, but his Parthenon tech is still quite far. On the tech side, he develops illumination and advanced subterfuge for 6 gold. He is reluctant to develop more tech now, as the effect of illumination will only start next turn. In the meantime, he may adopt the Gallic playbook and just play defensively. On the building side, he was planning to build 1 market in Dyrrhachium, but with the Roman threat and his defensive stance, he prefers to play it safe. The Macedonian player spends 4 gold to build 2 markets, one in Pergamon and the other one in Nicomedia. He also spends 2 more gold to build roads from Ephesus to Pergamon, and from Pergamon to Nicomedia. Finally, he spends 2 more gold to build 1 barrack in Dyrrhachium, garrisoning it against the Roman threat. All the markets have now been built. Well, the factions may still try to steal markets from each other using sabotage cards. So, Macedonia spends a total of 8 gold for building, which leaves him with 13 gold for recruitment. Antipatros is reinforced with 2 hoplites for 4 gold. Philip is reinforced with 1 hoplite and 1 peltastoi for 4 gold. And Alexander is reinforced with 1 hoplite, 1 peltastoi, and 1 javelin man for 5 gold. Macedonia then ends his turn with no gold in his treasury. The second turn then ends with the Romans ready to strike on 2 fronts. Can the Gallic-Macedonian alliance handle it? Let's see that in the next turn. If you like this little playthrough video and are curious about the next one, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. This really means a lot to me. Thank you for watching this video and see you next time.